Oh, hi, and welcome to whatever this is. Don't say hello.
No, I don't bloody think so. I don't even like heights. I don't like this, mummy.
Is done? Okay. She said hello now. She's alive. Still. How good I am. You getting chunky, babe. Hello and welcome to the bateau. My boat. My young boat, if you will. So, I wanted to catch up on what's been going on here. I am genuinely out of puff from carrying you. So, things on the boat have been going quite nice. It's lovely and warm outside. It's been cooler today because I was gasping like a little sausage roll, twirling around in the microwave for 60 minutes more than necessary. However, I just need to say that this job that I've been doing at the battlefield of Bosworth Heritage Centre is probably the best job I've ever had in my life. It's so much fun, and you know what? I love history so much, but it's been one of the jobs that, in terms of history, I'm literally learning as I go. Is this broken? I've just been learning on the go, which you do for every job, but with this, it's okay. Learn this subject, War of the Roses. Okay, and no matter what you learn, there's still more to to sink in your brain. So I just want to tell you what it's kind of like to be a battlefield tour guide working at this museum, twirling around swords, how it coincides with my life on the boat and affecting my writing basically. I've been getting more comfortable on the boat. The solo is working excellently, so I've been able to use my laptop a lot more, which is thank goodness. And my writing, I'm writing every single day. I'm also painting every single day. I don't know what's going on. Things are going quite nice. So I did this bridge series recently. Ooh. Oh, my goodness. Oh, dear Lord. Are they for sale? Yes, they are for sale. Each one of them is for sale. You can head to my shop. I'll put a link up there. And good to you. Look at these I did as well. Might as well because I need money, so I might as well show them off to you, shouldn't I, darling? Yeah, but you should have been prepared, Elizabeth. Okay, okay. For the Middle Earth fans, um, I did these little halfling homes. Oh, with gold leaf, of course. Of course. And they're also on the shop. They're all signed. And they'll come with a little letter. And they're in my shop. Each finished with gold leaf. Back to the juicy bit. So if you don't know what I'm talking about with the Battle of Bosworth is one of the last battles during the War of the Roses. Probably the last significant battle, especially the last battle between two kings involved. But I believed in the beginning. I was like, War of the Roses. Oh, it's just going to be a load of blokes going, I want to be king. No, I want to be king. No, I want to be king. And to rest assured, it is exactly that. It is just a bunch of blokes arguing about the crown. Nothing's changed that much. However, it is literally like watching Game of Thrones all over again, learning about these people. And to break it down for you, we've got House of York, the White Rose, and we've got House of Lancaster, the Red Rose. House of York are the people like Richard III, House of Lancasters, Henry Tudor. So the War of the Roses, which was captured by William Shakespeare's tales, although he was bigoted towards it because he was trying to impress the Tudors at the time. So of course you're going to bitch about the House of York. And he was the one that had Richard III shown as this sort of hunchback figure with a little withered arm. Now's the winter of our discontent. May glorious summer by the son of York. You don't really want to invite him to your picnic party, do you? But Richard III, we have painted him as a villain for the past 500 years. And the Battle of Bosworth is even more astounding because in 2012 we discovered Richard III's body beneath a bloody car park. A car park. It's not really the most royal of resting places, is it? And it was discovered by Philippa Langley, this woman who just decided to do her own research, go out there, get the funding, and just bloody get on with it and do it. So she's incredible. And she managed this feat, and in doing so, it unravelled 500 years of Tudor propaganda about what had happened, Richard III, and etc. etc. But the thing is, I'm one of these people that doing this job, I am still figuring out what is truth, what is fiction, how I feel about it. And one day I'm pro House of York, the next I'm pro House of Lancaster, and the rest I'm just sitting on the fence with the rest of the peasants going like, it's basically just a bunch of rich people arguing and then deciding what poor peasants are going to die in their name. So, I like to embrace my inner working class and really try and talk about when I'm doing my tours about the people who are involved, the actual people on the ground, and try and get the people who come on my guides to really put themselves into the shoes of the people who would have done that march. You know, you're with your family, you're with your friends, and you're working. You've just had a bad season of whatever you planted the year before. One of your children died, your wife's sick, and it's just you and your son that the entire family is dependent on to keep the farm going. Then all of a sudden, the Lord comes along and he says, "Yo, sir, I'm going to war, so you have to come with me because you're on my land." So, chop chop. And you couldn't say no. And they're the real people that I have empathy for. I mean, who's really going to document the history about hovos back then? Which is why Ian Mortimer, he writes this series of books called the Time Traveller series. He's got this great book called The Medieval Guides, Time Traveller's Guide to Medieval England. It's fantastic. They do an Audible book, so you can listen to it. Uh, it's an obviously paperback and hardback. He also did a TV series for it, but I have to get a subscription to watch it, apparently. It was made over a decade ago, and I can't afford it. However, War of the Roses is just about a bunch of kings, and we're centering on Richard III and Henry Tudor VII. However, it didn't start with them. It started a while before them. So for me, personally, the Wars of the Roses spanned 30 years. For me personally, I like to go back to Richard II, maybe because these are the plays that Shakespeare wrote about this time. He did Richard II. He did, oh my God. I want to say Richard II, Henry V, Henry VI, and Richard III. Have I missed any out, have I? Richard II was kicked off his throne by Henry Bolingbroke. Richard II was the king that was on the throne during the time of the Peasants' Revolt. I love a good Peasants' Revolt. He basically betrayed all the peasants, and he was imagine like a Marie Antoinette at the time. That's what happens when you get born into the role of king and it goes to your head. Henry Bolingbroke, he was Henry the Fourth. His son, Henry the Fifth, was the one that invaded France and he did the Agincourt battle. If you've seen The King with Timothy Chalamet, it's an excellent film, great musical score. So let's go to Henry V. He had to fight in battle. He went out and drank with the peasants. He was thought to be a womanizer. He was thought to be all these things, rough and ready. His dad didn't like him, kind of like disowned him or whatever. But then, of course, he came back. He came back and he fought, and his dad died, got the crown, blah 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 blah. And then, unfortunately, after a while, after his marriage, he died. Now this is where we're getting to it. And then we've got Henry the Sixth. Henry the Sixth is renowned to be the worst king in England because he was soft and gently spoken, and he got raised as king as a baby. Basically, any king or queen that's been raised into that role since a baby, they're going to be easily manipulable and probably quite ineffective. And this is the role. This is Henry the Sixth. He didn't really want to be king. He just wanted to sit by and read his books and in modern day, we would say that he was incredibly depressed. He was so depressed, in fact, that he went into this sort of living coma for 2 years, where he didn't speak, he didn't do anything. And this is where the House of York comes in. House of York were like, "Hey, this is shit at the moment. Your king's being shit. We're going to look after the country until he can go back on the throne." This happened, and then skirmishes started happening until they get to the point. Henry VI came back on the throne, then York won it, and blah 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 blah. Eventually, the House of York won, and then we had the sexy Edward IV come on the throne, who was the older brother of Richard III. Edward IV was astounding for his time because he was 6'4". Can you believe that? And the standard height for a medieval man during that time was around about 5'7". Woman, 5'1". Shoe size woman between 1 and 3. Blokes around about 5 or 7. My feet are a size 7, so that is astounding. Anyway, Edward the Fourth dies, but before his death, he's got two sons, and he says to his brother Richard, "Hey, can you be Lord Protector like our dad was, and look after my sons, my eldest son, until he's ready to take the throne?" And Richard said, "Of course I can. Of course I can do that." Anyway, along the line, Richard discovers that his brother was married before he was married to Elizabeth Woodville, that he'd already been married, which made these two children illegitimate. He was also worried that, well, we think he was worried that, you know, the mother, her family, the Woodville family, would be controlling the children and they would be getting steps up in society even more by ruling through these kids. So I have no idea. This is why we think that Richard III was a very bad man because he put the kids in the Tower of London, but back then the Tower of London isn't what you picture in your mind. It's not like this. When they put the nobility there, there were parts of it that were a palace, so they're still able to go out and do their archery and their training and have nice meals and stuff like that. So it's not like they were put in a dungeon with a hole to shit in. Anyway, it's been recorded through history that the two kids went missing and that Richard III had them killed. Today, we've got some reports that said that the children were spotted during Henry Tudor VII's reign, and that in fact, Richard, the youngest of the two brothers, he tried to come back to England to take his throne. And Henry VII was the one responsible in killing him. So we're still uncovering stuff. Now, I think around about the 1920s, they discovered the bones of two children in the Tower of London, and they decided that these were the two princes. I'm not saying they are, I'm not saying they're not. I have no idea. People talking quite loudly along the canal. The only way to find out if this is true or not is the DNA testing. DNA testing that has been requested by scientists alike to the royal family. We have to get their permission, but each time the royal family have been asked, Queen Elizabeth has said no. She said no. Let them rest in peace. My opinion is dig 'em up. Dig 'em up. Let's DNA test them and find out, and we can uncover one of the greatest historical mysteries of of the past half millennia. And dig 'em up. Let's find out. We can find out what actually bloody happened. Because if we find out, then we know all that stuff about Edward the Fourth's son Richard coming back to take the throne is hogwash. We can find that out. I hope in my lifetime we find out because it itches on me. It's too many questions and not enough answers. However, the Battle of Bosworth, where I work, this is the last place of the last battle that Richard III would ever go into, and Richard III has been fighting all his life. He's an incredible um, weapon master, and you know what? There's not enough time to go into it. Maybe if I break it into stages and kind of tell you about it, but the short spiel of it is that the Battle of Bosworth was so important is because everyone expected Richard III to win, and he lost through betrayal and desertion. He was betrayed by an ally and he got deserted by another ally. And he was like, it was reported that he was a sword's length away from Henry Tudor. And it's so amazing to think that history could have been changed with just one slash of the sword. If this had happened and this had gone this way, or we moved earlier, whatever. Like I say, I'm still figuring out which kind of side I'm on. And on top of this, we've got all these women that aren't really mentioned in the storyline because heaven forbid mentioning a woman in history. You see, the 1800 writers, the historical writers, and of the 1900s, they kind of downplayed a lot of women's contributions because being a woman was the worst thing back then. And they didn't want little women to get ideas in their head, did they? No. They needed women to stay at home with a baby and to get dinner cooked on the table. Okay? So when I take people round the Battle of Bosworth, it's not lost on me that when you tell these tales, the little girls are looking hopefully up at you, and that's your time to inspire them. And it's important for me to mention the women during this: Margaret of Anjou, Margaret Beaufort, Elizabeth Woodville. There's so many to go through. I say so many. I've mentioned three. But that's why I feel really passionate about it because I feel like I'm uncovering parts of a storyline to go into a book that will read smoothly. And there's pages missing, there's chapters missing, and someone spilled ink over the last 15 chapters, and I've just been tearing the book away from the dog who's chewed it up, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Are you okay, Leela? I've given you 3 biscuits. Everything's fine. She likes it when I'm stationary, sitting down next to her. And to be honest, that is my favourite position as well. Mummy likes to sit down as well, does she? Oh, I'm so sorry. I love you. So what I do, I take people around and I tell them about the battlefield and I wave around swords and war hammers and show them all the lovely, shiny, spiky, slicey bits. And I love it. I really do enjoy it. And I just can't wait to tell you more about it. I'm aware that there's not much boat content in this today, but this is probably what's on my mind most of the time. I wake up, I've got my walk, and then I'm writing and I'm painting, and all the time I'm trying to figure out the storyline. I'm not thinking out my own storyline with the book I'm writing. I'm trying to figure out some more historical facts and learn more about the medieval era, or I'm fussing about Leela and worrying about her. Like I'm worrying about her right now. Come in. My little sausage pot. Are you okay? Hmm? You're refusing to eat your dinner, aren't you? You're refusing to eat it because you've been spoilt at Nanny and Grandad's for your roast dinners. and your cups of tea, and your poached egg, and your 5 types of biscuit. This is too heavy. You're gonna give me a aneurysm. And you, I won't body shame her. Something needs to be done there. Anyway, that's a little update about the job. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, so yeah. I hope you're all good. I hope everything's all going lovely and dandy for you. And if you would like to hear some more history content, please let me know. And also drop in the comments if you're House of Lancaster or House of York. Make your decision. Tell me, and tell me why. York or Lancaster? Are you a Ricardian or are you a Tudor? Start one in. Lots of love to you. If you'd like to join my Patreon, please do. My patrons who are already watching this, I love you to bloody bits, and I couldn't do this without you. And I hope this video to my patrons makes up for last month's video that I tried to tell you all about this after a bottle of wine and having the laptop on mute. Anyway, lots of love. All the best, as always, from me and Leela.